Hello everyone, welcome to the Karmayogi IAS. So as promised, I have come up with the current affairs topic, which are very important for this year's mains, particularly political science and international relation optional topics are there. So let's start with the topics. Today we are going to cover three topics, and these three topics are delimitation deadlock. Obviously, you must have gone through 131st Amendment Bill, and also it could not pass in the Lok Sabha. So that was nothing but delimitation bill, delimitation deadlock, that we need to understand from the federalism perspective, as well as the question can come from the women perspective as well. So we will discuss the women perspective on some other day when we will club other important current affairs of women related to women. So the first topic is delimitation deadlock, and we will link it to the federalism debate around it. The second topic is 16th Finance Commission, the overall analysis of the 16th Finance Commission term of reference and what are the recommendations given by the 16th Finance Commission. Also, the comparison of 16th Finance Commission with the 15th Finance Commission, and also how the Finance Commission is a balancing wheel of fiscal federalism. So these all points regarding Finance Commission we need to understand in depth. Third is Cockroach Janta Party. Cockroach Janta Party needs to be studied from the point of pressure group, from the point of interest group, or from the perspective of social movement. So that is one such topic that we need to cover for this year, extremely important. So these three topics we are going to complete today. We'll have two more lectures where we will complete the paper 1, and then we will start paper 2. So in next 3-4 videos, which will keep on coming very soon. So we will complete all those important topics, and also I will give you the notes of these topics. So if you are appearing into the mains examination with PSIR optional this year, so these content will be quite handy, and you will be directly able to use this content in your mains examination. So let's start with the topic number 1, which is delimitation deadlock and the 131st Amendment Bill 2026. So this is important from the perspective of federal dimension, federalism, and where in the articles, where in the syllabus we can find the mention in the paper 1 section B, union legislature, directly article 81 and article 82 is involved, and also in the center state relation we can find this topic. Okay, so this is topic number 1. For topic number 2, for paper 1 section A, we can link it to the topic theories of representation, majoritarian versus federal, theories of representation. So directly it is linked to the two topics. Obviously it will come into the paper 1 part B, the second part of the paper, and if it comes, so hopefully this is one such topic which was in news for quite a long time, and probably this topic can feature into your examination. And we all know what has already happened. You must have followed the current affairs for your GS part, for prelims aspect, and you all know what happened in the special session of special Lok Sabha session 16 to 18th April. Government introduced the Constitution 131st Amendment Bill with the delimitation bill and UT laws bill. So government introduced that, and government proposed that the number of seats in the Lok Sabha should increase from 543 to 850, and the opposition defeated that bill. The bill got defeated. This would have lifted the freeze on delimitation set by the 42nd Amendment and extended by the 84th Amendment. So we all know that delimitation. What is delimitation? Delimitation means the exercise of readjusting the constituency's boundary. Readjusting. What is delimitation? Readjusting boundaries of the constitution. Boundaries of the constituencies. Obviously, India is a representative democracy. We are a representative democracy. Or for the purpose of representation, we have divided India into several constituencies. These constituencies are based on the concept of one person, one vote, and one value. With the time, We all know population changes, demography changes due to several reasons. One reason is obviously the birth rate, and the second reason is obviously the migration from village to city areas, and migration from one state to another state. So the principle is one person, one vote, and one value. And after independence, delimitation happened till the 1971 census, and after 1971 census, the number of seats allocated to one state based on population was freezed on the basis of 1971 census. But in 2001 again delimitation happened to readjust the boundary, not to allocate more number of seats to the states. So the delimitation happened, and delimitation was freezed because the population of North Indian state was booming at that point of time, quite higher, and southern India was controlling the population. So in a way, southern Indian state were getting penalized for controlling the population. So for that thing, delimitation was, we can say, paused for a moment. And in the constitution itself, after amendment, it was mentioned that delimitation will again happen after 2026 census. So currently 2026, in 2026 census is ongoing, and after this census delimitation can happen once again. So what is the problem? The problem is, without the need of delimitation, without following the aspect of one person, one vote, one value, the government of the day decides to arbitrarily use the number 850 by increasing it from 543, and by making that, we are just increasing the number by approximately 1.5 times. Means every state's number will increase by 1.5 times. That means if one state has 100, or 100 is too large a number, if one state has suppose 20 seats, so the number of seats allocated to the state in the Lok Sabha would increase to 30, irrespective of the population. So that was one aspect of the bill, and the other aspect of the bill was to implement the 33% reservation given to women previously, which was to be implemented after the delimitation of 2026 census. So these were 2 points. One was the delimitation aspect, increasing the number of seats, and the other aspect was giving 33% reserve seats to the women. But the opposition did not agree, and opposition was ki first remove this 33% and pass this separately. There is no need to again pass this delimitation based on this principle. So many parties agreed or disagreed on different bases. If we can quote Shashi Tharoor was like, if you will increase the number of seats, obviously there will be chaos in the Lok Sabha. The MPs will get less time to speak. Debate and deliberation will get severely hampered. Obviously, the constituency sides will reduce, and people will be more represented, or better represented through more number of MPs. But in the Lok Sabha, there will be chaos, and even now the Lok Sabha is not functioning as according to its mandate. The number of sitting has reduced compared to the 1950s, and the number of constructive debate and discussion has reduced. First we need to fix that, and then we can think about increasing to the seats to that high a number. So he was not in favor to increase the seats to that higher number. So these are all the debates that we need to keep in the mind. The federal front line. The strongest opposition came from Tamil Nadu, Kerala, Karnataka, Telangana. Core feature, strict one vote, one value logic under Article 81(2) shifts seat from population stabilized southern states. So obviously if we are going to increase the seats based on the one vote, one value, and obviously one person, and we are going to delimit based on this principle. So what will happen? Northern state will get more share, and the southern states will get less share because the population is less and the population has stabilized. So the overall principle of one person, one vote and one value is being questioned because of the penalization effect. Stakes extended further. Women's reservation under the Nari Shakti Vandanan Abhiniyam 2023 is tied to this very delimitation. So the deadlock stalls that reform also. Okay. So these are the analysis. Now we can just quote K.C. Wheare. K.C. Wheare called India a quasi-federal state. India is a quasi-federal state. If we go by the statement of K.C. Wheare, that means we are having more unitary features rather than federal feature. And even here, even in this case also, central government unilaterally, without consulting the states, tried to change the equation from 543 to 850. That shows the stance of K.C. Wheare. But Granville Austin held that India is a cooperative federalism where center and state both cooperates, and the bill's defeat on the floor of the house shows Indian federation still run on negotiated accommodation. I repeat the keyword negotiated accommodation. So according to the question, what the demand of the question in the examination, you can either quote K.C. Wheare or you can quote Granville Austin according to the demand of the question. Alfred Stepan's distinction between coming together federation coming together federation is USA, where each state, each senate has equal representation as an insurance against population domination. We are a holding together federation like India is the sharpest lens here. We can also give reference to the Alfred Stepan distinction. We are not a coming together, rather a holding together or binding together federalism. Now again we can quote Rasheeduddin Khan, asymmetrical federalism here, because so many states in India, previously there was Article 370, even now there is use of 5th schedule, 6th schedule, even Article 371 and so many parts of Article 371 are there. We have union territories with legislative assembly and we have union territories without legislative assembly. So we are a asymmetric federalism as well. And even delimitation formula. So a differentiated delimitation formula is not constitutionally alien. So a differentiated delimitation formula is not constitutionally alien. That means it is not new to our constitution. We can have a differentiated delimitation formula as well. In the conclusion, you can suggest that. So this is the kind of theoretical base you can use in your answers. In the conclusion, obviously you can mention the Article 263. This is one such article which is very sparingly used by our policy makers. They hardly use it. And this is one such article, very beautiful interstate council we have, where the states can deliberate, the state can discuss on the disputes and subjects of common interest and they can come to a conclusion. So if delimitation deadlock is happening, the Article 263, the interstate council can be used, or we can make commissions like Sarkariya Punchi Commission for providing the new kind of recommendation. A degressive proportionality model, degressive proportionality model guaranteeing slower growing state a floor above a strict population share offers a substantive middle path. So middle path is a degressive proportionality model which we can see in European Parliament, which guarantees slower growing state like southern state a floor above strict population share. So after suppose the strict population share gives southern state 20, we can give them more than 20 like 25, 26. So this is a middle path that can be upheld in the bill later on. The bill's defeat is best read not as a closure but as a federalism resolving itself politically, exactly as Austin spirit of accommodation would predict. So these are the concludatory remark. Not all the remarks you are going to use, obviously according to the question you can use any remark you like. Now coming to the 16th Finance Commission. 16th Finance Commission obviously very important. So basics you already understand. Finance Commission is formed under Article 280 after every 5 years. This year the Finance Commission was chaired by Dr. Arvind Panigriya, and Finance Commission determines the vertical devolution and horizontal devolution. Vertical devolution between center and state, and horizontal devolution between all the states and UTs, and recommends grant in not UTs, center keep it with it only, recommends grants in aid to states under Article 275. Also grants in aid, recommend grant to local bodies, also recommending financing for disaster management. So all these things are done by the Finance Commission. Unlike the 15th Finance Commission term of reference, the last Finance Commission, this year the 16th Finance Commission term of reference did not mandate on defense, internal security funding, no climate linked conditionality, no reformed linked performance incentives, a conspicuously slimmer brief. Previously, in the 15th Finance Commission, we can see the mandate on defense or internal security funding. We can see climate linked conditionalities. But this year, in the 16th Finance Commission, no such link is there. Vertical devolution is again same as the 15th Finance Commission has already mentioned, 41%. Demographic performance. What is demographic performance? Demographic performance matlab keeping population in check, keeping population rise in check. Demographic performance is redefined, measures direct population growth between 1971 and 2011, replacing the 15th Finance Commission inverse TFR method. So method used by inverse TFR was different, and now it is just measuring the direct population growth, and based on it demographic performance is being given. Local body grants 4.4 lakh crore to rural and 3.6 lakh crore to urban. Good. 80% is basic and 20% is performance linked. Again, for state disaster relief, center share 90%, 2 lakh, more than 2 lakh recommended. Obviously center share is 90% for northeast and Himalayan states. Now talk about key recommendation. In the recommendation, center's fiscal deficit glide path set at 3.5% that center has to achieve by 2030-2031. All of budget borrowings to be brought on budget. Whatever there is off budget borrowing, that has to be placed, that has to come under the budget. This is very important point. Whatever borrowings which is now off budget, that should be brought on budget, that should become part of budget. Combined center state debt is now 77.3%, that should fall to 73.1%. Push for discom privatization, that is very important, with legacy debt warehoused in a special purpose vehicle. So the report was already submitted and center has already accepted on the headline recommendation. All the important recommendations center has already accepted. Now there is a table of 15th Finance Commission and 16th Finance Commission. You can just go through it. And now there is, we can say, the population based debate, need versus performance. So while devolving, while horizontal devolution, there is two debate. One is debate on vertical devolution. Center's money getting devolved to the state. Now one is debate on horizontal devolution, how a state should be allocated the money. So one is need based. Need, obviously the state who are poorer with greater population share, they should be given more money because of the need, and the state who are performing well economic growth wise, GDP wise, population wise, they should be given more. So one is performance criteria and the other is need criteria. In the vertical devolution, obviously whatever center collects does not become part of the devolution pool. What becomes the part of devolution pool? Obviously cess, surcharges do not become the part of devolution pool. So states also demand cess and surcharges to become part of devolution pool. Only 41% share, they find this 41% share as less share. This can be increased to 50% share. This is what state demands and some of the experts also demand. But in the horizontal, there are two criteria. One is need and one is performance. Obviously, southern states are good performance wise, and North Indian states are more needy. So this is one debate that you need to keep in mind, and we have mentioned here. Okay, moral hazard dimension, moral hazard, directly rewarding population size, even partially, blunts the fiscal case for a state to pursue further demographic stabilization. So there are so many cases in Australia. In Australia, Commonwealth Grants Commission, like our Finance Commission, which runs a purely need-based horizontal fiscal equalization model. We try to incorporate both need-based and performance-based. We can compare in the answers with Australia. M. Govinda Rao mentioned that no formula tweak can fully substitute for a clear prior political consensus on what population is meant to proxy for need, historical entitlement, or future cost. So all these points we can mention. Now there are more points. You can just go through the points and read more points. Okay, because obviously you are going to appear in this year mains. So if you are going to appear in this year mains, you will be easily writing these points. Now come to the last topic today, that is Cockroach Janta Party. Also, I do not want to take a lot of your time just by dictating or just by making you understand. Obviously, you understand the things, you need the content. So content is, and if I will be teaching for a fresher candidate, I will go into much depth and detail to make them understand. You already understand the what Cockroach Janta Party is and what the debates around. So we are not going into it. We are directly jumping to the Gabriel Almond fourfold typology. We are directly jumping into the political science umbrella. Gabriel Almond has given fourfold typology for interest groups. One is anomic, one is non-associational, one is institutional, and one is associational. Offers a clean entry point. CJP began as a near textbook anomic outburst, but within weeks acquired the trapping of an associational group, a self-declared president, a manifesto, a website, and an affiliated student wing, Cockroach Students Union of India. You can mention all of this in your answers if asked. This trajectory reflects David Truman's disturbance theory. Have you studied about disturbance theory? We don't have any time to go into the depth, so I am just mentioning it. Interest groups crystallizes around triggering disturbances, but only take durable shape when a pre-existing latent grievance is already present. So here also there was a pre-existing latent grievance, student concern, NEET paper leak is already there. Here the accumulated youth anger over unemployment and examination integrity. The professionalism behind its rapid scale up also fits resource mobilization theory. Resource mobilization theory is given by McCarthy and Zard, which holds that a movement's success depends less on raw grievance intensity and more on organizational skill and access to communicative resources. So now in this era we have access to communicative resources, we have youths, we have memes, we have influencers, we have so many channels, internet, which gives us access to communicative resources. That is very, very important. Now you can also compare JP movement of 1974-77 and Cockroach Janta Party. Just a comparison, just a parallel. You can read, even if some questions are being asked, you can answer that, and you can also use the reference of Bangladesh protest, Nepal Genji protest, all those protests you can just use. This suggests such movements are becoming a distinct category of 21st century political mobilization, functionally replacing the trade union. Earlier there were trade union or party cadre, largely because social media lowers the cost of resource mobilization. Resource mobilization is very, very lowered. What McCarthy and Zald has mentioned, that we have discussed already. And Alberto Melucci and Alain Turin term new social movement. They have given the term new social movement. New social movement is issue based. This is also a kind of social movement which is issue based, which is identity driven, Gen Z and students organized around dignity. Obviously this is also an aspect of dignity and representation rather than classical class based demand. We can also mention these into the CJP social movement or the pressure group. Now there is conclusion. You can use articles also under section 69 of IT Act also, and you can use this for your conclusion. So these are the 3 topics. I have tried to keep it short so that you can use the content more than the lectures, because after only few days you are going to appear into the examination. Till that, we will try to cover all important topics. 3 topics we are covering today. More 14-15 topics we will try to cover, so that at least 20 topics or at least 17-18 topics we will try to cover. Thank you. Jai Hind.